My mom died, and she was 80, and she had cancer. I'm sorry, she didn't have cancer. She smoked, and she had COPD, and she went very quickly, and we're very grateful for that. She didn't suffer long. But soon after my mom died, we found out that my sister and I have a half sister from my mom, and we share a name. So within this 9-month span where I'm still deeply grieving Sam, just kind of finding my footing and trying to get back to work, my mom dies, and we find out we have a half sister from my mom who's 10 years older than me, and her name is Nicole. You can't script this. And that was hard. Still not as hard as losing Sam, but it's a different kind of grief. And it was traumatic hearing that news. Like, who was my mom? What was it like 10 years before? I was born in 1976. She was born in 66. Like, it just opens up a world of what you thought you knew of your family or your parent or whoever it is. And there's a lot of TV shows about lost siblings and things like that. It's not always that glamorous and that exciting. It can be very hard and very traumatic. A couple months later, I met her when I went home to Michigan for a few days, and her adoption paperwork showed some information about also there was a brother in 1964. So essentially, my mom was had a completely different life than what we knew of her. And she took all of this to her grave. That takes some rectifying, that takes some processing, which I'm still doing. I had gained some tools from the grief therapy with Sam, and then I jumped right back into grief therapy after learning this news about my mom. I'm not mad at her. I've forgiven her if I needed to. I don't think I did, because she made her decisions and it was a different time, and I have to honor that. But it's still something to be said that I have a half sister that I share a name with, which I believe was on the adoptive family, not my mom. Red banner year, just grief on top of grief. We're still in a pandemic too, right? This is October of 20 through the first year of his passing, and we're still dealing with a pandemic. And the effects of this loss and this grief, it changed my health. It changed my body makeup, I feel. It is a surreal experience that I don't wish on anybody. However, if you're grieving, there's a community for you. If you're new in this, if you've pushed things down and repressed things, there's a community for you. If I hear of people I know, especially just through social media, that have lost somebody recently, and it's somebody I know, I'll reach out to them immediately on Messenger to offer support. There are cliches that are cliches for a reason. Some things aren't appropriate to say to a grieving person, but I think there's better tools out there to help friends of grievers. But the best thing I can offer, and I've said this for a while now, the best thing I can offer, what I've learned in my experiences, if you put work in, the grief gets lighter. And you want to look for that lightness. And like Nora said in her TED Talk, you don't move on, you move forward. I love that. I never thought I would resonate with something like that so much. But I haven't moved on from Sam. He's, constantly in my life. And I'm glad for that. But you have to move forward. And that's the best way you can honor your loved ones as well. So that's a really profound statement. But if you're in the throes of that early grief, if you're in that devastating shock, trauma, PTSD, if you're in those beginning stages of it, it gets lighter. And that's my best takeaway from it. It's not better. It's not ideal. It's not great. But when it started to lighten, it didn't sit on my chest all day anymore. It would happen in pockets. And I didn't have to spend days and days and days and days and days bed crying anymore. It got lighter in time. And those lighter moments, like my grief therapist said, I leaned into them. You got through more days where it was lighter. So now the lightness is, balances the hard days. There's still pockets of it. There's grief waves. It'll take nothing. A song, a scent. I'm reminded every day. But I don't need tangible things to be reminded of him because I carry him with me all the time. But look for that lightness, because that will help get you through those really dark, heavy days. And you can't live in those dark, heavy days. It'll crush you. It'll physically crush you. But it just took work and rest and confiding in friends and having big, long cries. It has to come out. You have to get it out of your system. And now going in on the third year, which is, it feels like I'm saying he's been gone 10 years. 3 was different from the second year, and I don't know why. The community here has helped put me back together again. My work has helped rebuild me. And I'm so grateful. And I thank you, David, for putting this brilliant podcast together. And I'm grateful that you put the work in for this. This community needs things like this. We need this. So that's my story. Sam Mossler, we miss you so much. Thank you.